What if I told you that being grateful for what you have and hungry for what's next are not opposite, but they're partners? Somehow, most of us have been taught that wanting more means we're ungrateful or selfish. That if we're truly content, we shouldn't desire anything else. But what if that lie is keeping you small? Let's think about Thanksgiving. The table is full. The house smells warm and wonderful. Family is there, and you feel so satisfied. But when somebody brings out your favorite pie, even though you're not starving, you still want a slice. Why? Because hunger isn't just physical. It's an expression of delight and expectation. I am Donna Tashjian, and today we are talking about the abundance you have and the abundance that's yet to come. Because you don't have to be starving to desire good things. Here's the trap so many of us fall into. We think desire and gratitude are enemies. And we've been conditioned to believe that if we're thankful, we shouldn't want anything else, that contentment means settling. That asking for more is greedy or selfish or spiritually immature. So what do? We shrink our prayers. We shrink our dreams. We apologize for the vision that God has planted in our hearts because we don't want to be selfish and we don't want to look ungrateful. And meanwhile, that settling causes exhaustion and depletion because we are pretending you're satisfied when you're not is one of the most draining things you can do for your soul. Just putting up and pasting a smile on, saying the right words, and performing like it's some test we need to pass. But inside, you're starving. There's something more. We begin to be ashamed of that hunger and push it down. Can I tell you something? This shame isn't from God. If you've ever felt guilty for dreaming bigger, you're not alone, but it's time to break that agreement. Because here's some things I've learned both in scripture and walking with hundreds of leaders and world changers. Gratitude and hunger are not opposites, they're dance partners. Paul said, I've learned to be content in whatever state I am, in Philippians 4:11. He also said in Philippians 3:14, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling, contentment and pressing forward, grateful and reaching. They go hand in hand. Jesus fed the 5,000, did an incredible miracle, and turned around and said, you'll do greater things than this. He celebrated what happened, and he pointed to what was yet to come. So God doesn't shame your hunger. He gave it to you. He doesn't look at that holy ambition and call it greed. He wants to partner with you because it's too big to do alone anyway, isn't it? You were called to co-create with him, to steward what you have been given and stretch toward what he's prepared for you. The problem isn't you want more. The true problem is you have been taught to feel guilty about it. And that guilt is keeping you from the very abundance God has already released toward you. Now, let me say this clearly. You can be deeply grateful for where you are and still hungry for where you're going. You can celebrate today's provision and pray for tomorrow's promise. You can honor what God has done without pretending He's finished with you yet. I've watched this happen to one of my clients. We'll call her Trish today. Trish was caught in what I call that grateful guilt. She said things like, I should be thankful for what I have. Who am I to want more when so many people have less? And on paper, her life looked good. Stable job, loving family. She wasn't in a crisis. But strangely enough, inside, she was withering because her dreams had been buried. The callings, the desires in her heart, she had silenced. The version of herself she stopped believing was possible because wanting it felt selfish. Through our work together, major shifts occurred. She realized her desire for more wasn't evidence of ingratitude, it was evidence of aliveness. God planted those dreams in her heart. They weren't random, they weren't greedy. What if? And they were invitations. And when she finally gave herself permission to be both grateful and expectant, everything opened up. She told me, I've been content, but this reminded me I get to expect more because I'm learning God always has more. She's not striving now. She's not hustling. She's not apologizing. She is grateful for what is and expectant for what is next. And that peace is palatable. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. You were never meant to choose between gratitude and desire. You get both. You can say thank you for today's manna and still ask for tomorrow's provision. You get to celebrate how far you've come and still hunger for where you're going. You get to be thankful and expectant, content and reaching, at peace and in pursuit. Here's how that looks everyday life. Instead of saying, I should be grateful, try this instead. I am grateful for this season and expectant for what God is preparing next. Instead, I don't want to be greedy. Try. My desire is evident that God is awakening something in me. Ooh, that's a good one. Instead, I should be satisfied for what I have. Try. I honor God with what's given to me, and I trust Him with what's still coming. So here's the truth. When you stop starving yourself spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, when you finally give yourself permission to want what God has already placed in your heart, you don't become entitled, you become alive. You don't lose gratitude, you deepen it. Because now you're not just grateful for what you have, but you're grateful for who you are becoming. So this Thanksgiving week, I invite you into something deeper. Give thanks fully, freely, and without reservation. And give yourself permission to want, to dream, to expect. Because God can do math you can't explain, and He is not finished with you yet. If this message has stirred something deep within you, a quiet aid that there's more, don't brush it off. The stirring isn't pressure, it's an invitation. It's heaven saying you don't need to work harder, you just need wisdom. You don't need another coach. You need a solution to the problem that's draining your peace, your purpose, and your power. You've been hustling, praying, pushing your way through confusion, and it's still not working. It's not your fault. It's what we've been taught. But heaven's wisdom says instead, it's time to align. In one wisdom consultation, we will uncover the root issues of what's keeping you in limbo. in that exhaustion, in that misalignment, or fear that's somehow beneath the surface. And we will create a spirit-led strategy to restore clarity and flow. Because this isn't about trying harder. It's about stepping into divine order where everything begins to shift. Bring me the problem that you can't seem to solve, and let's invite heaven's solution together. Schedule your call wherever you find me sharing this video. And if this message has encouraged you, share it with someone you care about who's craving peace too, but hasn't known where to find it. Until next time, stay grateful, stay hungry, stay crowned. Let's talk soon.